Good afternoon. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to Facebook Live. So I am excited to be here with you today. Yeah. All right, let's do this. So we're going to be saying goodbye today to some of my favorite things. Oh, this is so hard, you guys. But it is that time of year. So, all right. Welcome to everybody who's joining me live or on the replay. As my camera falls. Yeah, so we are saying goodbye to some beautiful products this week. You've got like 6 days left to get these products. So I'm going to be showing those to you today, and we're going to make a card using some of those. I've got a fun fold for you today. And so, yeah, that's kind of where we're at. So let's see here. It is Tuesday, April 29th. Oh my goodness. It is the second to last day of April, you guys. That's crazy. So if you've been paying attention over the past week, I've been inviting you to join the All Good Cards Club, which is the crafting membership that I partner with Karen to run. So tomorrow is your last opportunity to join that. We also have product shares in the works because 1 week from today, a new catalog launches. So we will say hello to a bunch of new products, which is always an exciting time to have. So yeah, lots happening these days right now. So that's kind of where we're at with all of that. But, you know, this morning I started my day at a urology office. Taking my dad to an appointment, and you know, I was chatting with the nurse because her husband just recently purchased a business, and it was just kind of fun to connect with another, you know, person in the business world, if you will, and just kind of talk about stuff like that. So I don't know if you guys like to talk to strangers. I do. I'm such an extrovert, and I love talking to strangers. So it's super fun. So that was kind of how I started my day. And now I am like knee deep in all the products that we're saying goodbye to. So I thought I would put together this fun fold for you and show you a different way to use them. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to get this put down here so that we can take a look at some products that are going away. So we call these last chance products, that being your last chance to get these products. So every year, Stampin' Up! Brings out a set of in colors. So, you know, I've shown you some of the new in colors that are coming, and 5 beautiful new colors that start next week. And you can still join In Color Club if you want to. But what it means is when 5 new colors come, we have to say goodbye to 5 other colors. And so that is what you see here on my desk. Here we've got Copper Clay, Pebbled Path, Boho Blue, Wild Wheat, and Moody Mauve. These colors have been around with us for a couple of years, and 6 days, a week from yesterday, they are going to disappear. So I thought it'd be fun to make a couple cards today using these. And then I'm also going to use a last chance stamp set. The stamp set's actually half off. It's only $12.50. I love this set. I'm very sad it's going away, but it is one of my absolute favorites. It just has some beautiful line art in it that you can either color or leave as is. And the words, excuse me, this combination here, I use all the time. In fact, that's what I'll be using on my cards here today. But I just love thoughtful expressions. One other thing I wanted to say before I make the card, when ink pads are retiring, don't forget to get your ink refill. Because otherwise, when this is dry and ready for re-inking, you'll be really sad that you don't have the refill. So be sure to grab your refills as well. Okay, so I am going to pile these all up here and set them aside. We'll be using some of this jute trim here too in our card. So I am going to show you a fun fold today. And this card is a little bit of, it's almost like two cards in one, which is how we're going to think about it. You know, sometimes we can look at fun folds and they can feel maybe intimidating or overwhelming. And so this one, the way that it's folded, you're going to see that it's almost like having two cards in one. So you have the larger base, and then you have this smaller inside card. And I just created a little closure here to help it stay closed. So I'm going to show you how to make this card, and we're going to make it as two cards, and then we're going to combine it into one. Now I am going to use a different color combination because I told you I wanted to show you some of these in colors that are going away. So I'm using the Wildly Flowering Designer Series paper, which features all 5 of these in colors. So I'll be doing Wild Wheat and Boho Blue for this card here. Or as we affectionately named it, Baby Poop. All right, so let's start with the bigger outer card. So I'm going to move this stuff aside for a moment. And, oh, let me not cover up my Post-it note. I've got my little cheat sheet here next to me so I can give you the measurements as we go. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut our card base to 5.5 by 6 1/4. So of course I already know this is 5.5. So we're going to cut it down to 6 1/4. So just to make it easier, I'm cutting off 2 1/4 inches. But so now I have 5.5 by 6 1/4, and I'm going to score it at 4 1/4. So we've scored at 4 1/4, and that makes our larger card base for this card. But now I need some panels to go on this card. So we'll start with on the inside of my card. Let's see, I'll use this piece. I'm going to do a piece of 4 by 5 1/4. So I've just got some scraps here, so I have to kind of flip and make sure I can cut each way that I go. So 4 by 5 1/4. And then on top of that, we're going to put a piece of Designer Series paper that's going to be 3 3/4 by 5. So we'll do 3 3/4 by 5. If you miss any of the measurements, they're always available on my blog and on my YouTube channel afterwards. So just in case you miss one as we're going. Okay, so those are going to become the 2 panels for the inside of our card here. Okay, and now we need the pieces for the front panel. So the first one we're going to cut is going to be Wild Wheat, and I'm going to cut it to 1 3/4 by 5 1/4. So 1 3/4 by 5 1/4. Okay, and then we'll do our Designer Series paper to go on top of that. And trying to grab my other pattern here. This one is going to be 1.5 by 5. So I'm going to cut this way first. So we're doing 1.5 by 5. Okay. And we're going to pause our cutting here and do some assembly, and then we'll turn our attention to the second part of the card. So we'll take our larger panels and tape those together. Okay. And then we'll take both of those and put them on the inside. Now, I always like to say, if you plan ahead, you can always punch or die cut out of this back layer so that you don't feel like you're wasting so much cardstock. So if that's something you want to do, you can always make use of your cardstock that way too. I'm going to crease this down. Oh, there we go. All right, and then I can add my 2 panels to the front flap of my card. There we go. And I chose Wild Wheat and Balmy Blue because of the, or I'm sorry, Boho Blue, because of the colors in this paper. Now, Misty Moonlight would also work, but I just think the Boho Blue looks really cool with the in-color combination. Okay, so here is the outside of our card. Okay, so now we're going to make the inside. So I need a piece of wild wheat, and we're going to cut this to be 4 by 6. So we're going to do 4 by 6. And then I can score that at 3 inches. Yes, Pat, that is a bone folder that you see. Yes, I finally found one. I'm actually proud to say that all of my boxes are, well, how do I qualify this? All of the boxes in the studio are unpacked. But before you get too excited, they're not all put away. There are piles sitting everywhere. But I at least have every single box unloaded, and stuff is out. So yes, I have managed to find my bone folder. But one of the things I regularly talk about on these videos is that I keep a little container of mats that are this 4 by 5¼ inch. And even though everything is unloaded, I still can't find that container. I saw it once and then it ran away again. So one of these days. Okay, so this is our inside card here. So we'll cut some coordinating panels to go with it. So we'll start with the blue. And we're going to cut this to be 2 3/4 by 3 3/4. So 2 3/4 by 3 3/4. Okay. And then I'm going to do the same size in basic white so that we have a little insert. So let's see here. We'll do 2 3/4 by 3 3/4. And then last but not least, we need one more piece of designer series paper. And I'm going to use this pattern again. And it's going to be 2½ by 3½. So we'll do, let's see here, we're going to do 2½ by 3½. Okay, I believe I've cut everything we need. So we'll bring this over here and we'll first put our 2 layers on the front of the card. So we're just kind of making a little mini card here. Oh, before I tape these together, let me crease this down. Okay. And in case you're wondering, this is opening backwards. So, because if you can imagine the end result, here we're going to be sticking these together. Okay. So, in fact, we will go ahead and do that next step because I don't want to put my insert in yet because I'm going to be stamping. So we now have our 2 cards made and now we're going to combine them. So I'm just going to put some tape on the back of the smaller one. And we'll put that right here in the middle. There we go. So they open opposite directions, just like that. All right, so let me set that aside, and I'm going to take these two, and I think there's a lot of blue on this card, so I think I'm going to stamp with wild wheat. And I've got a little stitch circle here that we're using. I'm just going to say, sometimes there are no words. And then on the inside, I'm going to say, you're in my thoughts today. There we go. Okay. So I'll first take my white insert and add that here. There we go. And then I did decide, even though we crease it, sometimes, you know, you want a closure. You want a closure for your card so that it'll stay nice and flat. So I was thinking, okay, something up here would be really nice. So what I did on the back of, where's the paper? On the back of this paper that we used, I fussy cut a little flower. So that's where I'm going to get this flower from, okay? And all I'm going to do is I'm going to find a direction. Let's see, I think this way would work. Yeah. So this is the way I want it to sit. So on these two petals up here, I'm going to add some dimensionals. So I'm actually just going to cut a dimensional in half. And I'm going to put a piece on the back of each of those petals. So up here and right here, just like that. Sometimes I think it's helpful when you're doing a new card or you're trying to figure out a fold, envision the next step before you take the next step. So I kind of laid it down and envisioned where I wanted it to go before I actually put, you know, something sticky on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set it on the corner here and make sure that I don't stick my base to those dimensionals. So let me hold it like this. So I'm just kind of figuring out where I want it. Again, imagining the end before I take the step. And then I'll set it down and stick it like that. So now I have this nice little closure for my card that I can just tuck that right under. And it'll help hold it closed. Now, I think this still needs a little bit of something, a little something. So I'm going to take out my, let's use the wild wheat here. And I know that I'm going to be putting my circle here. So I'm just going to add some adhesive where I know the circle is going to cover it up. Because I am going to lay this jute, actually I'm going to start up here. I'm going to lay this jute trim and I'm going to press it nice and firmly onto that adhesive. And I'm just going to wind it back and forth a couple of times. There we go. Okay, so I've got that. So now I can take my circle and I can dimensionalize it. I'm going to add a little extra dimensionals just to make sure that I catch Designer Series paper. I don't want my dimensionals to only stick to the jute trim because then I'm going to have a wobbly die cut and that's not what I'm looking for. So I'll just hold this apart, put my piece down and press down. And then I always like to double check because this jute trim is kind of thick. So I'm just going to peek underneath and make sure that my dimensionals caught some Designer Series paper, and they did. Okay, so my dimensionals are not just on the jute trim, they're also catching that DSP here. Okay, and then last but not least, I'm going to grab some of these. What are these here? These are the opaque sparkle dots that come in the in colors. Now I'm all out of blue, as you can see, but I do have some wild wheat. So I'm just going to take a couple of these and then grab one from this sheet and we'll just add a little bit of bling to our card. So here's our fun fold, kind of 2 cards in one. Got your larger base card and then your smaller flap card. So if I bring back the sample from the same paper pack, I just used a combination of Moody Mauve and Wild Wheat. And so I cut out a different flower here from the designer series paper, but still same words on the inside. Just a little different color combination. Because sometimes when you find a fold that you really like, you might as well make multiple cards, right? Because you can kind of assembly line it, if you will. All right. So again, I know there was a lot of pieces that we cut here. So you can check out my blog later today or my YouTube channel. I load all of these videos to YouTube so that you can go check out the replays over there if you missed it here on Facebook. So, all right, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in for Coffee and a Card today, and I will see you soon.